Welcome to the Sterling Podcast. This is your host, Marshall Sterling. I own Sterling Auction Realty. I'm an investor, entrepreneur, and everything else you can think of. I want to tell a story today that I encountered upon. So I'm in the real estate auction business, which means that I deal with sometimes people who have lost a loved one. They died. And I'm not a vulture. I tell you, every time I meet these people, I listen to their stories. I want to hear them, because it kind of shows us all a lot about the reality of life and death and spirituality. And geez, who knows what happens after this, right? Who knows where we came from? Who knows where we went? So today I followed up on a lead I had for a real estate auction where I drove by. The yard was cut well. Nice house, probably like 2,500 square feet. And it was in rough shape. Window units taped in. So anyway, I called the people who owned it. I spoke to the gentleman, who will remain nameless, of course. And he said, I like your idea of auction. I'll talk to my wife. If she likes it, she'll call you back. And about 4 days later, she actually called me. And she told me she had suffered through cancer, an aortic tumor, and a brain tumor, which I don't think is going to get much worse than that. But she was very positive. She thought I was a scammer. But, I gave her my credentials and all that jazz. And just talked to her like a human. Wished her the best. And we hung up. Well, today, about a week and a half later, after the conversation, I follow up with them. I go to their house in the Jeep, knock on the back door, no answer. Go across the side to go to the front door, and the neighbors see me, and they say, hey, I wish you the best of luck. My condolences. Come here. Sorry, but the cat's going to be. So, anyway, my condolences. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They say my condolences. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, somebody died? And they're like, yeah. The lady. And I'm like, Jesus Murphy. The freaking lady croaked. And I was like, I just talked to her a week and a half ago. And I'm like, yeah, she's coming. So anyway, long story short, I go around, knock on the door, the husband comes out. Let me let this damn cat out. I'll tell you what, an entitled SOB, this one. Well, get out. You're fucking up my podcast. Go on, get it. I guess that's why they say to get edit software. Didn't understand. Anyway, so back to the story. So knock on the front door, and I hear, hey, a gentleman's voice says, go to the side. I go to the side. A gray-haired man with blue-gray eyes comes out. A gentleman in his 80s. And I introduced myself. He says, yeah. And I said, listen, I just heard that your wife passed, Mrs. So-and-so. He says, yeah, she did. And, I just tell you, this is like, life is so fragile. I just talked to this lady last week, and she sounded fine. Fast forward a week and a half, crow. So weird. So I talked to him, and it sounds like they had a beautiful life and a beautiful marriage. Of course, it wasn't all roses and that stuff because that's not. But overall, I feel like if you can stand somebody for 50 years, you probably won't. You know, my wife is fantastic, but not perfect. So I'm sure all wives are like that. All husbands are like that too. But I guess the moral of the story is just really what he said to me that caught my attention was I don't think I told her I love her enough. She told me she loved me every day. And he hung his head. I told him, hey, she knows. And she does. He loved her greatly. It was very clear. But the moral of the story is just tell everybody you love that you love them as frequently as possible. Every time you talk to them. Because you never know. Life is a dream. You can wake up at any time.